You ever see somebody so sure of themselves, so convinced they're the smartest one in the room that you almost feel bad when reality finally comes crashing down on their head? Well, let me tell you about the day our neighborhood's iron-fisted HOA president, Karen Whitmore, found out the hard way that property law doesn't care how big your clipboard is or how red your pen gets when you're slapping people with fines. So picture this courtroom's packed tension so thick you could cut it with a butter knife, and Judge Martinez brings that gavel down hard like really makes you jump. In the matter of Henderson versus Willowbrook. HOA, I find, in favor of the plaintiff, and with that you could hear the collective gasp ripple through the chamber. $4.7 million in damages, attorney fees, court costs, the works. You should have seen Karen's face. That woman who always carried herself like she ran the whole world suddenly looked like she was clinging to the side of a cliff hoping for a miracle. Her lawyer was sweating bullets, whispering frantic nothings, but I knew. They were finished. That was the end of the Willowbrook HOA as anyone knew it. One knew. But let me back up a sec, because this disaster started long before anyone ever saw a courtroom. 6 months earlier, I'd just bought myself a little slice of peace and quiet, a 3-acre plot right on the edge of Willowbrook Estates. Not exactly Beverly Hills, but pretty enough and plenty of space for the workshop I always wanted. House was modest, the kind of place you could actually hear yourself think. I thought the only thing I'd have to worry about was the squirrels getting into my tool shed. Boy, was I naive. About 3 weeks after moving in, I'm standing in my kitchen cradling a mug of coffee and daydreaming about nothing when I hear this god-awful rumbling coming from out back. I look out the window and there's a bulldozer rolling over my property line like it owns the place. Trees coming down. Workers shouting back and forth somebody's laying down concrete, and it's looking suspiciously like the foundation for a playground. I storm outside, barely dressed. Just shoes and sweatpants. "Hey," I shout at the guy running the crew. "What's going on here?" The foreman, big guy, barely looks up, tells me, "Community Improvement Project. HOA's orders. Gonna be a nice playground and walking trail." I felt like my brain short-circuited. I said, "I think there's been a mistake. This is my land." He just shrugs and says, "Take it up with the HOA, buddy. I just build what I'm told." Real helpful. So that afternoon, I'm knocking on the door of the Willowbrook HOA office, which is really just Karen's garage stacked floor to ceiling with violation notices and printed newsletters, the whole 9 yards. Karen's there, not even looking up from her paperwork. Calls me Mr. Henderson in that voice people use when they're pretending to be polite, but would rather be anywhere else. I try to keep it civil. There's construction happening on my property and I need it stopped. She gives me this smile, tight cold like she's sizing me up for a coffin. Mr. Henderson, the Willowbrook HOA, has certain rights regarding community improvements. That land is essential for our new recreational area. It's for the greater good. Now, if there's one thing I can't stand, it's somebody talking down to me like I'm a child. I tell her, the greater good doesn't override property law. That's my land, I have the deed. She's still smiling. You should have read the fine print. She says HOA covenants give us broad authority. She won't show me any legal documents, just waves her hand and tells me to talk to a lawyer if I don't like it. Then she says construction will continue as planned. I left her office boiling, and that's when the fines started rolling in. Grass half an inch too tall, $25. Mailbox paint wasn't black enough, $25. Garbage can visible from the street, forget this, 47 minutes longer than allowed, $25. All signed in Karen's bright red ink. It was like she thought she could paper cut me into submission. What Karen didn't know was I'd spent a decade and a half as a commercial real estate attorney before I retired. So I hired Michael Chen, best land surveyor in the county, the guy everyone called when they needed precision. His report confirmed exactly what I already knew. HOA had built 18 feet onto my property. No right-of-way, no easement, no nothing. I walked the report right back to Karen's office this time with my deed and a certified letter. I hand her the papers. She barely glances at them, pushes them right back across the desk. "We have broad authority, Mr. Henderson. Your threats don't scare us. I told her flat out, "This isn't a threat, Karen. It's a legal notice. 10 days to remove the structures, or I take you to court." For the first time, she looked rattled. But she doubled down, said her attorneys would eat me alive. 10 days pass. Playground's still there, walking trail looks almost finished, and now they're putting up pretty little lights. I call her office one more time, get the secretary Brenda sweet but clearly nervous. Tell her, "Please let Karen know her time's up. Lawsuit gets filed tomorrow." She promises to pass on the message. I call my attorney. That's when things started moving fast. My lawyer Patricia Reeves was a property law pit bull, and the complaint was airtight trespassing conversion violation of property rights. HOA's lawyer Richard Blackwood responds with a motion to dismiss full of bluster about community improvement mandates, tries to paint me as selfish. Judge Martinez shoots it down within a week. Property rights aren't a suggestion in this country. Thank you very much. Discovery rolls around, and that's where the real fireworks begin. Patricia's team digs up board meeting minutes showing the whole playground idea was cooked up to avoid buying more land. Karen actually said residents need to make sacrifices for the greater good. Guess she meant sacrifices other than her own. Then Thomas Richardson, one of the board members, testifies that he warned them it might be private land, but Karen told him to stop wasting time. The kicker. Blackwood, the HOA's own lawyer, admits under oath he never even checked the property lines, just took Karen's word for it. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Even the insurance company bailed. 3 weeks before trial, they send a letter saying, "We're not covering you. This was an intentional act. HOA's on the hook for everything." Cue the panic. Karen calls a late-night board meeting, tries to push through a $5,000 special assessment for every homeowner. 3 board members quit on the spot. The rest are furious residents are demanding answers. Karen goes from queen bee to persona non grata, basically overnight. Trial starts. Patricia lays out Chen's survey on the big screen, crystal clear. This is a case about the right to control your own property, she tells the jury. Not community spirit, not playgrounds, just simple ownership. Blackwood tries to play the think of the children. Card jury's not buying it. The evidence is too strong. HOA's defense falls apart in about 3 days. Expert after expert lines up, lays out exactly how much the encroachment cost me in land value restoration, lost use over $250,000 by the time they finish. Karen takes the stand, and let me tell you, if looks could kill, Patricia would have dropped on the spot. Karen snarling, refusing to answer, snapping that surveys are expensive and unnecessary. Patricia stays calm. Did you ever consider that building on someone else's land might be illegal? Karen doesn't answer. The verdict, fastest I've ever seen. $4.7 million plus attorney fees and costs. Judge Martinez tells the HOA's lawyer, "You made your bed, now lie in it." Within hours, bank accounts are frozen. Playground equipment's torn down and auctioned off for peanuts. The whole association unravels like an old sweater. Karen tries to hold a final board meeting. Nobody shows but 2 diehards. They vote to dissolve and file for bankruptcy. Karen's still clinging to hope, but the ship is going down and there's no lifeboat. Her name is all over the contracts, so the creditors come for her house, her savings. She even loses her job at the real estate office once word gets around. Funny, isn't it? Lady spends her life handing out fines for mailbox colors and garden gnomes, and now she's packing up her own yard sale. The last official HOA meeting is something I'll never forget. Karen stands there, tries to give some speech about coming together after adversity. Tom Richardson stands up and says, "Karen, you did this. You ignored every warning." Then Sarah Chen, her son, was supposed to use that playground, just explodes $15,000. Karen, that's our vacation, that's college. All because you thought you were above the law. Room empties out until it's just Karen and a handful of angry faces. They vote her out on the spot. She tries to defend herself, whispers, "Everything I did was for the community." Nobody's listening anymore. Couple months go by. Bankruptcy wraps up. HOA officially gone, assets sold for pennies on the dollar. Karen's house goes up for sale, her yard suddenly full of weeds and foreclosure signs, a real full-circle moment. The court awards me a fraction of what the judgment was, but still a win's a win. On the last day, Karen actually apologizes in court. Says she thought she was doing what was best, but now she realizes how wrong she was. Judge Martinez thanks her for finally admitting it, but says intentions aren't a substitute for following the law. HOA's dead debts are wiped. Willowbrook is free. Walking out of that courthouse, I just shook my head at how wild it all got. What started as a simple fence line argument blew up a whole association and left the self-proclaimed queen of the block flat, broke, and jobless. All because she thought she could push around the new guy. Let that be a lesson: never underestimate the stubbornness of someone who's got the law on their side and nothing left to lose. Now, I know not everyone agrees with how far it went or whether the punishment fit the crime. But I'd love to hear your take. Was this justice, or just another example of a system gone off the rails? Drop your thoughts below. Where do you stand when community rules run up against property rights? Let's hear it.